on locations throughout the world.
Standing passengers, please do not lean against the doors.
Picture goers, we bring to you new films of interest.
Chicago in State is next. Doors open on the left.
The miracle of the motion picture.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.
Chicago's a nice town if you're looking for pizza.
Welcome to 4 Stars, a Chicago film podcast. A podcast where we talk about movies set in or based in Chicago.
Each episode, we'll be discussing a different movie that's set in or was filmed in the Chicago area, its cultural/historic relationship to Chicago, and whether it's a good representation of the city.
We want to figure out what makes Chicago movies different from movies about other cities, and to answer the question of what a Chicago movie even is. I am filmmaker and front of house manager of the Music Box Theater, Jeremy Martyr.
And I'm Paco Alvarez, a journalist from Chicago. On today's episode, we'll be talking about 1997's My Best Friend's Wedding, directed by P.J. Hogan, starring Julia Roberts, Dermot Mulroney, Cameron Diaz, and of course, Rupert Everett. Later on in the episode, journalist Siri Chilukuri will be joining us to talk about the movie. But before then, let's talk about what was going on when My Best Friend's Wedding came out.
1997. Tell us about 1997, Paco.
Well, we were both 1 year old. Do you know what movie came out the same weekend as this?
No, I don't.
Batman and Robin.
Oh, that's actually a really fun weekend.
Yes. People thought, I think the studios thought that this was going to bomb because of Batman and Robin, and then Batman and Robin started bombing the second weekend, and this actually held pretty well. So last time we talked about a fun little historical figure, Howard Medley, and I was sort of hoping that we would have some more, like maybe a crooked politician per episode, and so far that's been proven right. But this time I'm not going to get super deeply into him. But there was a editorial, actually a bunch of editorials, both in the Sun-Times and the Tribune, about Jesse Evans, who was an alderman on the South Side, who was convicted of taking bribes from an FBI agent. And he'd been convicted by the time June 20th happened, but he hadn't been sentenced yet. And according to Illinois law, you can continue to be paid until you're sentenced. So everyone was complaining about, like, why is this guy still around? Like, why are we still giving him money?
He's still on the payroll. He's still...
Yeah. So that was funny. One of the headlines was "Convicts on the Payroll."
It says here that the church deacon says God has told him not to resign, and that in the op-ed they said that divine order is well within secular law.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Also, the operation, we'll get into the, I think I'll do a deeper dive into this guy later, but the FBI operation was called Operation Silver Shovel, which is kind of funny. Are
there other 97 Chicago movies? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, are we going to track this guy?
I think we will. I mean, I think his trial probably happened in 96.
Okay. So we're still, so after the shock of this,
yeah,
he's still getting paid. The city's sort of being like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But there's some other headlines here that I found really interesting. The coyote menace on the rise.
Yeah, this was one about I guess coyotes in the 90s were starting to pop up more in the suburbs and in the city itself. And in this one, it was just this was based in Libertyville, and a coyote had murdered some woman's dog named Chicago.
Is murdered the right word? Do they murder?
Maimed, killed.
I think they attack and kill.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like malice and force. Like they're animals.
I guess. I don't know, man. It's a
How
rough
did he
world
do
out
it?
there. Yeah. They don't know. I think she had just let the animal. I think she was just like had her dogs, Chicago and Bear, out on the yard, and
Chicago and Bear. That's amazing.
yeah, and one of them just came in and ate it.
I have cousins in Libertyville, and I know this is a problem. Like growing up, we had to make sure we knew when they were taking the dogs out and when they were coming in. I remember the coyotes being like this like big scary thing, and when I finally saw one, I was kind of like underwhelmed because they're not that scary looking.
Because they're pretty skinny, right?
They're really, really scrawny. They kind of look more like foxes than wolves.
Okay.
And now I see them all over. Like I've seen them in our neighborhood.
I was trying to find numbers. I couldn't exactly find how many. I think there's like maybe like 1,000 in Chicago, maybe a bit more actually. But I feel like, the reason why I was struck by this headline was just because I feel like it's an issue we're still talking about.
Sure. We are like a city that used to be a prairie.
Yeah.
And the animals who used to live in that prairie still live here. And they thrive because they're like able to be in like the graveyards and the areas where there's not a lot of humans.
I remember I did a bit of coyote research, and I saw that I think urban coyotes have longer lifespans than rural coyotes.
They've adapted.
Yeah.
Except for, did you hear about the teens who stomped the coyote to death in Mount Greenwood?
No.
So like last week, there was an article that was written.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, about these like awful teens who they murdered a coyote.
That's crazy.
A group of them stomped it to death, which is bad. I don't like that.
Speaking of teens, the third headline I wanted to talk about was another Sun-Times. These are all from Sun-Times. It's called "Parents Face Fines Car Impoundment Curfew Crackdown." So, as both of us know, Chicago has had a curfew since 1992. Well, I don't know if you knew of the year, but Chicago's had a curfew since 1992 for teens.
I remember this.
And something I didn't know about, I don't know if they still do this, but starting in 1996, if your kid was caught driving past curfew, they could impound your car.
Whoa.
And they would like find the parents, which I didn't know anyone who got caught for curfew violations. So I just assumed it was like they just drove the kid home. But apparently like they find your parents, or they end up impounding your car.
Mm. They sent your kids to a work camp like it's Pinocchio.
Yeah. But I feel like it's just like I feel like every year they always like try to find some way to like punish the parents for like kids. Yeah. And it's just been going on forever. I guess we talk about this with Siri, but so much of history is just like things repeating itself. Mm-hmm. And whether it's how we deal with teenagers going past curfew, or how the White Sox are doing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right.
All right. That's what was going on in Chicago at the time.
I'm excited to talk about this movie. This movie is a White Sox movie, like you just mentioned. It's a really, really good rom-com, a really good meta film. We talk about it a lot in the episode, but this is a really, really good Chicago film. It's a film that uses its locations and uses them well. I'm going to do a little brief description of the movie, and then we'll get into the episode.
Sounds good.
All right, My Best Friend's Wedding came out in 1997, directed by P.J. Hogan. This is a movie about Julianne, played by Julia Roberts. She's a food critic and a writer, and she has this friend, played by Dermot Mulroney, named Michael, who she had a deal with that if they were single by the time they turned 28, they would end up getting married. She doesn't take it too seriously, but she's about to turn 28, and 3 weeks before her 28th birthday, she gets a call from Michael, letting her know that that he's getting married to 20-year-old Kimberly, played by Cameron Diaz. Kimberly is the daughter of billionaire owner of the Chicago White Sox, and so they're throwing a big wedding in Chicago, and Julianne is then invited to this wedding. Julianne decides to gum up the works and try to pit these two people against each other so that she can steal Michael back. It is a rom-com from the perspective of the villain, as we talk about in it, and hijinks ensue. Fun movie.
Yeah, fun movie. And now, here's our conversation with journalist Siri Chilukuri about My Best Friend's Wedding. Joining us today is our friend of the pod, Siri. Siri, I guess, could you just like introduce yourself, what you do, and maybe tell us a little bit about your connection to Chicago?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Siri Chilukuri. I am a journalist, a fact checker. I do lots of things, and mostly write about climate change for places like Grist and Mother Jones and lots of other places that you should check out and support. And my connection to Chicago is I was born and raised here. I am a lifelong White Sox fan, which will become apparent in a minute.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah. my connection, I guess, to this movie is just that I love romantic comedies and I love Chicago, and so this sits at the center of my interests.
I've heard you talk about this movie a lot. Like, just like I feel like we'll be at a bar or something, and you'll just like start going on a rant to someone about how much you love this movie.
Yes.
When did you first see it?
When I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was 15, I was just going through like the rom-coms that I'd seen a bunch of times. So like, your 27 Dresses, your How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And My Best Friend's Wedding, I don't know how to describe it other than it's one of those films that kept popping up on Netflix and that I would just kind of like ignore because I wasn't sure like what the deal was with this movie, and would just keep going forward in my canon. And then one day I was like, okay, let me click on it. Let me see what it's about. And I was like, okay. Obviously I knew that Julia Roberts was in it because her face in the movie poster is like most of it. I didn't know it was set in Chicago. I didn't know any of those things. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit play. And I hit play and I was like, oh my God, this film is incredible.
It just pops from moment one. The
Yes.
colors,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
vibes, everything.
Yes. I mean, Rupert Everett. Incredible.
He's so fucking funny.
The city of Chicago. Also incredible.
Third build.
Yeah. Knock off Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah. Oh my God. We need to talk
That
about
can be a whole.
what the
that's like
relationship
that's like
is.
a whole 30-minute section.
Yeah, they just
about,
create a wasp, Jerry Reinsdorf. It's pretty amazing.
It's pretty incredible. And so I do kind of feel like I was like living in that SNL sketch where Bill Hader as Stefan is like, this movie's got everything. It's got Dermot Mulroney being, awkwardly sexually charged and doesn't know where he belongs. It's got, Union Station. It's got Rupert Everett being fabulous and a Dionne Warwick song that drives the plot forward. So
it has a smoke break Paul Giamatti. It has everything.
It really truly has everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like as an annoying teenager, I didn't really watch rom-coms. And so,
Boo.
yeah. And then, so I didn't really I haven't seen a lot of the classic rom-coms, or I didn't watch them until like I was in my 20s. And I watched this movie the first time, I guess like in 2020. And I remember one of the things that I was so weirded out by is the fact that the central plot in the movie is like, they made this bet with each other that if they didn't get married by 28, they would get married. And so I was just like, that's a ridiculously young age. And I continue to believe that's a ridiculously young age to like have that kind of like marriage bet. And then I got married at 28. So now I'm just like,
I was gonna be like, Paco, how old are you?
Yeah,
And what has happened recently?
yeah, and that was because we had a bet.
bet.
But yeah, but it is just like, I still think that's a young age to like just like give up.
Yeah.
To just be like, you know what, like I'm not going to find anyone else. I'm going to have to marry my best friend who's hot. But like, I do feel like between 2020 and now, back then that felt like that's such a ridiculous expectation.
Yeah.
I do sort of feel like there's probably more people who relate to that now than maybe they did in 2020 because
Yeah.
we've regressed so much.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time to settle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like people were starting to get married younger and like believe more in like a trad lifestyle.
Well, speaking of marrying younger, Cameron Diaz is 20 in this.
Yeah.
That's another crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Paco, because that's your experience coming to this. For me, I had a similar thing with rom-coms, but I think it was because my older sister loved rom-coms so much. I put her on a pedestal, love my sister so much. But I had an issue with rom-coms where that part in the rom-com where the characters would start to fight or lie, or the lie would be revealed, I could not handle internally, and I'd run out of the room. So I physically could not handle that conflict, which is the main source of things for most rom-coms, when the lie is revealed. This was a movie that it was probably just too advanced of a rom-com for me to have watched as a kid. But Your Sleepless in Seattle and, When Harry Met Sally and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and, 10 Things I Hate About You, all those, those were core parts of my childhood. But I wasn't, digging deeper than that. I wonder if I would have been introduced to this movie as a Chicago movie. I wonder if my relationship would be different, because like if this movie was introduced to me as a White Sox movie, if it was introduced to me as a movie where people get on the Chicago River and do the architecture tour or whatever, I wonder if I would have had more of an in. Than just like, oh, this, rom-com leading star.
So when did you first watch it?
I watched this movie for the first time in 2020.
Okay.
When we did take one of this podcast.
Yeah. So I guess, context. Jeremy and I started recording. Well, we started thinking about this podcast, I think in 2020, probably like height of both of us being super unemployed, height of both of us being super bored. And we were like, let's start a podcast like everyone else in the country. And then our first episode was about my best friend's wedding, and it was so bad that we were like, this can't be our first episode. And we recorded another first episode on The Fugitive, and then we recorded a bunch of others, and then we never released them.
Yeah. We've locked that episode away in a safe, and only James Caan can break into that safe to release the episode.
But yeah, I feel... Let's talk about the Chicago stuff, because... I think the first 2 times I watched this movie, the Chicago stuff kind of frustrated me.
Interesting.
Because I think part of it is just I'm like kind of annoying, and I was so I was just like,
I think I know what you're alluding to.
Go on.
I guess it's just more like I was sort of like when I was thinking of Chicago movies, I wanted movies that showed the neighborhood, like my idea of Chicago, which is like the neighborhoods, like the different aspects, not just like the nice downtown area.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I think when I was rewatching it this time, I think what really opened it up to me and made me appreciate the depiction of Chicago is thinking about it like Julia Roberts' character, Julianne, is not from here.
No.
She is in town for her best friend's wedding. Dermot Mulroney is not from here. He just like is maybe based out of Chicago.
Yeah, he's a writer now in Chicago.
He's a traveling sports writer, but I assume like maybe just comes back to Chicago because it's a good home base, because it's like central.
Yeah. But it's just like the things that you see in it. Yeah, that's like what you would see if you visited Chicago for a wedding. Like it reminded me almost like of like those social media posts. They're like, I visited Chicago, and like it's so awesome. Like you don't see
things
any
to do in Chicago's Gold Coast.
Yeah. So it's like none of the stuff that I would do, but like I guess like if someone was visiting, like this is the shit I would show them. And I think that's what made me appreciate it. It's like, oh, it's not just using it as a background. Like I think this is like how you would experience Chicago if one, like you were invited to a wedding, and also 2, if you were like a rich family that probably has a giant home in the suburbs.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because this isn't our Chicago, but this is a side of Chicago that we don't want to admit exists. The cigar chomping, big rooms, leather chairs, an old money style family. The first time we watched the movie, when that location came up that the wedding is actually at, we were like, well, there's no way they filmed this in Chicago.
And they did.
So that is a part of the city that we don't have access to. It was filmed on the south side, right?
Oh, really?
I thought it was Fourth Presbyterian Church.
Okay, yes. So the church itself, but the outdoor,
like the mansion.
Oh yeah.
The mansion space.
Yeah.
That's also Chicago. I'm gonna look it up 1 second in our handy tome scroll that we have of all the Chicago locations. But I'm almost certain that the least looking like Chicago looking thing, the one that looks like the suburbs,
yeah,
is I think a little enclave in Chicago.
That makes sense. There are definitely spots of different neighborhoods where you're like, am I in the suburbs? And so when people, I don't know, I think again, outsiders have this idea of Chicago, and I'm always like, it is quite literally like changes so drastically. Like the architecture of each neighborhood changes so drastically as you move from different parts of the city. And so that I can understand being frustrated by like that not being on display. But I also do think part of the appeal of this movie is that it is like a mass audience sort of deal.
Yes.
It's
a heightened movie.
Yeah, it's very heightened. Every part of it is heightened, including like Julia Roberts' performance. And so I do think there is something to like, she's like swinging her hips and serving beer in this like press box, and then you go to the shot of just her and Dermot Mulroney, and it opens in on the cell on Comiskey, my favorite place in the world.
Exactly.
And it's just this like massive stadium, or this incredibly emotionally charged moment on the architectural boat tour, or in Union Station, or again back in the bathrooms at Comiskey. So I think that like that part of it, I liked it because I think for me, I knew that a movie about three white people in a love triangle was never going to showcase like my favorite spots that I went to as a child. But what I liked about it is it genuinely seemed like the setting was serving the plot and was like an integral part of the plot. Also, aforementioned White Sox fan, like grew up going to White Sox games. My dad was a season ticket holder. And so for me to see the stadium that I had literally like there, it's probably the only place in Chicago I've experienced at like every stage of my life.
Where were your season tickets? What side?
Oh, they were all the way at the top. They were
Top.
in the 500 section.
500.
Like nosebleeds.
But you would sneak down.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would.
That was the move.
That totally is the move. But my dad was this type of person who was just very like straight laced and very like,
okay.
He used to like score the games.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
We love doing that.
Well, what's crazy is that like I am like have been a coach of a softball team, which is just like in a rec league, and we all are just like we're playing softball for fun, and I don't even know how to score. Like my friend scores for me. So, but yeah, he was very enthusiastic about that, and sometimes we would switch, but yeah.
Well, you've opened up my favorite avenue of this movie, which is the White Sox part of it. And I think we should dig in because this movie takes place in 1996, was released in 1997, which is like a very interesting time in White Sox history.
Yes.
And I think it's so fascinating to set this movie in Chicago and then be like, all right, so this is going to be about the billionaire's daughter and the owner of the White Sox.
Yeah.
But the owner of the White Sox doesn't look or feel like the way that we want this character to be. So we're going to change the owner from Jerry Reinsdorf to something Wallace.
Yeah.
Papa Wallace.
Yeah.
And we're just going to change the vibe of the White Sox for a little bit. It seems to me like it was maybe written as like the owner of the Cubs. And then they pivoted when they either couldn't get the location or it was cheaper to shoot at Comiskey.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
So no matter what way it happened, it makes me very happy. This takes place in the summer of 96. I made sure to track the players on the field. I saw Ozzie Guillen at shortstop.
My God.
Yeah, exactly. I saw Robin Ventura at third base. It is quite an interesting era because it is famous for its owner's decision in the summer of 1997 in what was called the White Flag Trade. And the White Flag Trade was a moment where the White Sox were only 3.5 games out of first place behind the at the time the Cleveland Indians, now the Guardians, and they decided to trade 3 of their best players at the trade deadline, even though they were only a few games out.
Oh man! And
it is this very, very famous sort of thing where like the media and other players and the entire city of Chicago viewed Jerry Reinsdorf as this villain who, gave up on the season early, and has been repeated like almost every single time the White Sox have rebuilt.
Yeah.
And every single time, like other teams that are like modeled after the same as the White Sox, which is like now the White Sox are the worst, maybe the worst team in history.
Yeah.
But that's not the history of the White Sox.
No.
We are a perennially second to third place team.
Yeah.
Like we are constantly mid.
Yes. Yeah. I think what's so funny is that like this history is informing when the film is made. And people still hate Jerry Reinsdorf.
We hate him.
Like, we still hate him because he still sucks. And, like, I just think about...
Sell the team Jerry. Sell the team Jerry.
Sell the team Jerry. Like, no, it's just crazy to me looking at, like, the 2021 White Sox team. Yeah. Going to games a lot in 2021 and 22.
Yep.
And, like, going to games now. And the team looks unrecognizable.
No.
And I'm just, like... I understood why they wrote a Jerry Reinsdorf lookalike out of this film because I think people couldn't take it.
No,
I think people wouldn't go.
There's one moment where Cameron Diaz uses the word schmuck, where I'm like, did they try to write this as a Reinsdorf thing? And then they were like, pivot. No, too waspy. Let's make this movie different. I do find the movie. It's so this is a movie that is completely out of reality for most of its run. It is this like the very opening scene is a very good like text on how to watch the movie. It's this like commercial pastiche 50s
Like the doo-wop.
the doo-wop, right?
Yeah.
That opening number is like it's a very good tone setting because the rest of the movie is not in that style, but is in that 90s rom-com. We're not in reality, the same way that a musical where you can burst out into song like many characters do in this movie, you're not quite in reality. And then what this movie does so brilliantly, in my opinion, is all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 times, it'll just like reality will just rush in and you'll have a moment with Paul Giamatti or where like reality just happens and settles in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think what I realized last night that I think like one of the descriptions of the movie that I think makes sense to me is that like it's Julia Roberts stuck in someone else's rom-com. So like she's sort of like the reality check in the movie. Like she's the one who is like she thinks it's her rom-com, but she's actually stuck in someone else's. Like she thinks like she can steal away the guy, but really she's just like causing them a bunch of problems.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And I think part of why I still, I think the best part about this film is that Julia Roberts' character, Jules, is a terrible person.
Yes.
But she is such a good, charismatic actress that you're still kind of rooting for her a little bit. At least I was.
No, 100%. I think you're right. She says at one point, "I'm the bad guy."
Mm-hmm.
That is a line in this movie.
Yeah.
This is a movie from the perspective of the villain of a rom-com.
Yeah.
And the hard part, the difficulty to land the trick of can you make the villain likable is why Julia Roberts is a movie star.
Absolutely.
And the even harder thing, in my opinion, is then not copping out and making the Cameron Diaz character unlikable.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to make that character, the Cameron Diaz one, in order for us to root for the villain, like just the worst.
Yeah.
And there's so many worse movies that do that. That make that character unlikable and make the Dermot Mulroney character likable so that you want Julia Roberts to end up with Dermot Mulroney. And the truth is that Julia Roberts and Dermot Mulroney do make sense for each other back when they knew each other because Dermot was kind of a shithead.
Yeah.
And he's evolving, he's changing. And Julia Roberts can't accept that. And so she tries to wedge her way in there.
Yeah. I do think something that's interesting. One, I think the three of them have fantastic chemistry, including like Julia Roberts with Cameron Diaz.
Yes.
Like I believe that, she is like, oh my God, this girl is like too perfect and too sunny and too, whatever. And like, I just want to strangle her, but she's so nice. But I think that the interesting part that I noticed this watch that I did not notice, as I guess closely in previous watches is how Cameron Diaz's character says, there's a kernel of truth to all of the things you're bringing up. I don't want to leave school. I do want, Dermot Mulroney to work at, the White Sox, work for my dad. Like, I don't want to uproot my life. And so I think that kind of, I'm not going to be like Julia Roberts is a feminist hero in this movie, but I do think that they're like specifically with that opening sequence, they are setting her up to be like an anti-90s rom-com, including like ideas of femininity, right? The idea that like she wears her hair in like a curly mess and like wears like menswear and wears like, very, kind of neutrals. And you see that versus Cameron Diaz's character whose hair is always perfectly done up and like she's wearing yellow and she's wearing bright green and you know it's these sort of like counter ideas of femininity and who like women are allowed to be. And also sort of this idea that sometimes when you're stuck in one or both of those roles you might need another person to like pull you out of it to remind you like what's actually important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The relationship between the two is really interesting. And something I was thinking about is that I think there's a way that you can kind of like, there's almost like a metatextual element to the movie, just in terms of like Julia Roberts and Cameron Diaz's like careers
Mm-hmm.
and sort of like the way in which Julia Roberts, she had already had her like come up. She was kind of like pretty much almost at like the height of her powers.
Yeah.
But she was also like, I mean, she wasn't old, but she was like getting older.
Yeah.
And there in Hollywood, obviously, like if you're a woman, like at a certain point, you're gonna stop being cast as the lead in rom-com, and you're gonna be like, okay, you're the mom now, or you're the woman who doesn't have a husband or something like
All
that.
of a sudden, this ingenue comes in.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
like Cameron Diaz was like this model who became a movie star like literally overnight with the mask.
With the mask.
And so it's like it's almost like there's like a real like tension there just in terms of their career where it's like Hollywood does just like kind of replace you with like younger actresses.
Yeah.
And there's a certain way in which like Julia Roberts' character knows that she's losing that star in being a chance to be a star in a rom-com, you know?
Well, you brought up that word metatextual.
Yeah.
I think this movie is incredibly aware of the history of rom-coms. I think this movie is incredibly like as aware as like a Scream or like
Yeah.
other like postmodernist like type movies. And I think that this movie, by casting those people, by casting a Dermot Mulroney, it knows what it's doing with, setting those characters up where they are.
Yeah.
And that's the difficulty of landing this is that could be so insufferable. That could be
Definitely.
so annoying.
Definitely.
And yet they decide to play those things out, not as like wink, wink at the audience, but play it straight and play it like heightened. So the only like characters bursting into song is such a natural part of this movie.
Yes.
Like at dinner when they just start singing.
Dionne Warwick.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable moment, but it makes sense within
The plot of the movie.
the plot of the movie.
And also, I mean, I think what's interesting about that scene is there's this Vulture article that's like a book excerpt, and it kind of talks about how like that musical element stems from the director P.J. Hogan doing Muriel's Wedding, which is the guy was it Toni Collette's debut?
I don't think so,
but
but it was like
very-
her breakout role.
Yeah, it was like very 90s rom-com set in Australia, and Muriel, the main character, is also kind of it's you pity her, but
You're terrible, Muriel.
yeah. Literally.
That's like they allowed the central female figure of the movie be messy
Yes.
and make mistakes
Yeah.
but not judge them for them.
Yeah, and I think the musical element, I mean, it makes so much sense that this is the same director because that movie is so driven by ABBA. And this movie, in its own ways has that musical tie where it's not a musical, but the plot is, central to these songs. These songs don't exist, just to exist. They exist to sort of showcase a certain facet of the character. I think for the Dionne Warwick song, it's, to sort of show like these like very close-up shots of Julia Roberts and Dermot Mulroney's faces and show how like uncomfortable they are, and he looks like angry in that scene. Like he's not singing along, he is not even looking at Cameron Diaz's character. Like it's kind of insane.
The Dionne Warwick scene, the karaoke scene, the three boys do
Acapella.
Yeah.
acapella nitrous song with the balloons.
Helium.
Like the helium. What did I say? Nitrous?
Yeah, Galaxy gas.
Completely different. Yeah, that's the 2000s. That's the
Yeah,
2000s.
Yeah.
That's the 2020 version. Gone on the gas.
But like all those things are so funny. And made the rewatch of this movie so delightful. Every single scene was better than I remembered. Like every single scene had a punch up, had a joke. It is such a well written script.
Yeah.
Ronald Bass, I think, wrote it. Yeah, I think he was the
yes.
were
Yeah.
A
He's got-
very well accomplished screenwriter.
Yeah, he's got a funny little story.
Mm-hmm.
He was like kind of like a one man Hollywood machine, and he had like this like a little crew of like writing assistants called the Ronettes.
Oh yeah.
All women.
Yeah, all women. But he said he wrote like 90% of it. I don't really buy that, but not to shit on Ronald Bass. But
Yeah, whatever. Get him.
Yeah. Let's get to that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. This movie has so many different facets. When you were talking about like the Chicago stuff in the beginning, what were some things that bumped with you that didn't feel realistic or didn't feel real, or what are some other things that like really stood out as like a really good use of the city?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just like a lot of like like nice casual background, like walking, just like downtown shots. I mean, obviously, like the like architecture tour is great. I think the first time we recorded this, we talked a lot about how funny it is that they're eating hot dogs like on like the steps of the Brown Line, and how like fucking disgusting that is.
Yes, that is fucking disgusting. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think when I'd watched it when I was younger, I was like, oh, that's cool, I guess. Like, you know, whatever. Maybe you did that in the late 90s. And as an adult, I'm like, I don't care how fucking wasted I am. I'll sit on the street. I will sit on the street
Before the steps.
Before I sit on the steps that lead up to the like Brown Line.
Loop,
and the loop.
Brown Line.
Yeah, or like, you know, I think it's all the loop stops. But I was just like, that is fucking disgusting. No, thank you.
And honestly, the architecture tour thing, it's so great and it's played as romantic, but imagine how stinky that ride is. You imagine like
This
Julia
is
Roberts.
pre-cleanup. Yeah.
Julia Roberts showing up for the shooting day and being like, what are we doing? Where? And they're like, oh, it's going to be this amazing romantic scene. This is actually the whole, like, imagine that they have to plug their nose. It is a hot summer day
Yeah.
on the river that most people, this isn't a joke in the movie, but we know the way that river smells.
Oh, totally. It smells like ass. I will say the thing about this movie is I was like, oh, we are so in winter and I hate winter and I want to be where they are. I want to be in like June, July, like not a care in the world. And you're like,
I want to go to a baseball game right now.
No, literally. I want to go to a baseball game. I want to have fun outside, but it's so cold and miserable.
Yeah.
I did, and it was a very summer movie. I'm like, this is like, a summer movie. This is a rom-com. I feel like there's something about the summer where they're like, people fall in love. People, you know, express their love to their long hidden, suppressed best friend of 8 years. Where, maybe it's just the hot weather that makes us do crazy things.
Yeah. Being in love and it being so hot you can't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I did feel like they weren't sweaty enough.
No,
like,
they weren't.
Like the characters should have been like way sweatier all the time. They should have been like, "Wow, the humidity's killing me."
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like they should have had a consultant be like, "You guys should be doing this."
No, it's okay. They're by the lake. They have the
Oh,
one.
that's true.
Yeah.
Oak Street Beach, right off the Drake. So they actually shot at O'Hare, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the
Okay,
craziest
it's
scene in
the
the movie.
entering scene too. It is 100% because I'm like, that is the international terminal.
Yes.
At O'Hare. I'm like, because I know LaGuardia. Like, I know LaGuardia like the back of my hand, and
That's at O'Hare.
and I also know O'Hare, and I'm like, okay, but it is one of the best scenes where it's like in the United Terminal. I think it's like the C concourse where
That's where they bump into each other.
where they bump into where they
Insane.
meet, and like also just pre 9/11 like getting to meet at the gate.
Right at
I'm
the
like,
gate.
how luxurious. Like your loved ones could just come pick you up at the gate. You didn't have to wait and have them like honk at people and be stressed out and pick you up in 5 seconds
Move
at
along, move
arrivals.
along.
Yeah, no, literally. So I was like, that's so luxurious, and she has the cart for her, and it's great. Great scene.
Apparently, that was Cameron Diaz actually driving. Like she's just like drives insane.
Oh my god.
I love that they wrote that in.
Yeah.
So that path that she takes from O'Hare, and then she ends up on Lakeshore Drive.
Going north.
Yep.
She ends up like on Lakeshore Drive going north towards the old McCormick Center. And then she somehow does an entire U-turn
Towards the Drake.
ends up going south on Lakeshore Drive from the north and sees the Hancock building.
So the first time I watched that bothered me. The second time it was just charming. And I was like, it just like fit into the idea that she was such a crazy driver.
Yeah. It's giving When Harry Met Sally.
Yes, exactly. The same exact thing happens.
It's
when
the
they're
same
leaving
thing. You can't go from Chicago and you're driving like east. No, that's not.
Sometimes you just need to show the John Hancock building.
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
true.
it is a nice view.
That's
Every
true.
time I see it, I'm like, wow, that is beautiful.
That's our city.
That was also when I guess they don't show her on the airplane, but like the
Mm-hmm.
overhead shot, like at the beginning, I was like, damn, like this is a beautiful city.
I have had the pleasure a few times of having that same shot. And it is that is, if you take a plane from New York to Chicago, sometimes you will get that view. And every time I've gotten it, I'm like, wow. And I take pictures with my phone, like those pictures are going to be good, but it's It is a gorgeous city. It's got a gorgeous skyline, which I think we take for granted because not all cities have good skylines. I'm going to say it. I won't name names, but
Name them.
Name them.
Call them out.
Houston.
Got him. Yes, that's the one that I always felt the most like competition with, because I was like, LA and New York were always the 1 and 2, and like Chicago and Houston were always in like the 3, 4, and there was that era of Chicago history where we were losing people and Houston was gaining people.
That's currently now. That is right now.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I was always as a kid being like, well, it would be so weird if we weren't the 3rd biggest city. And you're right. Houston now that I'm an adult, I know that Houston's a great city.
Me too.
I know that Houston rules, but you're right that skyline is not the same as ours.
I hate that skyline. I also don't like the Pittsburgh skyline. I'm really going in.
Go in.
Go. Keep going.
Pittsburgh has good bridges though, which we do too.
Pittsburgh has amazing bridges, and Pittsburgh has, oh my god, I don't even know what they're called, but like the trolleys that go up the
Oh yes.
up the mountain because it's like in a valley or something. Also, one of their bridges is named after Rachel Carson, so it's like an environmental person. I'm like, I have to be like,
That's
okay,
pretty cool.
Give it up for that bridge named after.
So I've realized
Rachel
I backed
Carson.
myself into a corner by being on a podcast with 2 fact checkers, and now I can't figure out whether that place is in Chicago or not. So please email us for corrections. What's the name of our?
If you have any corrections, you can email us at chicagopodfilmcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, very simple, very easy
Yeah.
to remember.
Hey everyone, this is Paco from the future. During our conversation, Jeremy said that the filming location for Kimmy and Michael's wedding was in Chicago. We just want to give a little fact check here. It was not. It was in Vernon Hills. Now back to our conversation.
We have to talk about the ring scene.
Oh my God. You mean the finger scene?
Yeah, and it's not. It's because so I read an essay that this writer that I really like named Bolu Bab. I'm not going to pronounce her last name correctly unless it's in front of me, but she wrote Honey and Spice. It's a really, really good book, and you should all check it out. So she's a romance writer, and she like deals in romance, and she talks about that scene, which I was like, I think like as a teenager, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And as an adult, there is still some of that, but I'm also just like, this man wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. Like,
So for people who haven't watched the movie,
yeah,
which I think that there might be a few, first of all, go watch the movie.
yeah,
Yeah, just pause
immediately.
Right now. Yeah, just-
Pause.
You
go
shouldn't
watch
have
the
listened
movie.
to any of this without watching the movie.
No, the movie's very accessible, very watchable.
Yeah.
It's on Paramount Plus. We're also sponsored by Paramount Plus. Oh, we're not. Never mind. But can you explain that scene?
Yes, I can. Okay, so in the scene, it's kind of like a very emotionally tense moment. Dermot Mulroney has just decided that he's gonna call off his wedding. He's in the hotel. He's in Jules's room, I think. It's right after she was smoking a cigarette. And maybe we'll talk about that scene right after this. And he opens the door and she falls down because her back is against the wall, against the door. And on top of everything, she's like, oh my God, had an existential crisis about her role in, helping him call off this wedding. And she's like, on top of everything, like, look, I'm wearing your, fiance's wedding ring because I tried it on and I couldn't get it off. And he gets it off. He gets it off.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
And that's what happens. No,
he puts her finger
yes,
in his mouth,
yes,
and then he pulls the ring off
with his
mouth.
teeth. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is one of the craziest things I've seen in a movie.
It is.
It is incredibly. It is so well executed.
It's
I
very
will
well
say.
executed. It is very sexy.
It's
like
very
it is
sexy.
very sexy.
He's a sexy man.
He's a sexy man.
She's a sexy woman.
She's a very sexy woman.
Yeah.
And I think the crux of that scene for me is like the eye contact. Like they're
Yes.
literally having, and I think this is part of, not to go on a totally separate rant, but part of my problem with modern day rom-coms is that I'm not convinced that these people actually want each other. And
They do not fuck.
they don't fuck. They don't fuck and they don't pine.
It's pining is very important.
Yes.
Yearning is very important.
Yes.
But the idea that these characters do have sex lives,
Yes.
they are experienced. It's not just like they're cut
Yeah.
and hot
Yeah.
from the outside.
Yeah.
It's that then they go home and fuck.
Yeah. And I think that I have been so sort of, I mean, there's so much nudity on screen, which is, you know, I think can be utilized in really artistic and amazing and beautiful ways that serve the plot. But I am also just like, where is the chemistry? Where's the sizzle? Where's the spice? Like, the great part about these rom-coms is like, you know, they're not particularly like sexy films in the way that we might think of sexy now. But they have this sort of like crackling chemistry between the two leads where you're like they want each other, they're pining for each other, they can have each other. This will lead to some sort of, you know, some sort of climax that will be driven by their emotions but also by their like sexual chemistry with each other. And I believed it in this movie, and I don't necessarily believe it in like more contemporary rom-coms.
Agreed completely.
Definitely. This is, I guess, there's two avenues that I want to take this conversation. I guess I'll go with the more fun one. But is Dermot Mulroney hot?
That's a good, I think a better question, or no, I like your question.
I like your question.
But I also think another question that I asked myself is Dermot Mulroney worth sabotaging a wedding for?
That's it's a related question, because I think that is my biggest hang up with this movie, and it has been on each watch, where it's just like, I don't know if he's worth, like, his character, I guess it's more like, yes, I think Dermot Mulroney is hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, is his character hot enough, and is his character interesting enough for her to ruin her life for her?
Yeah.
And ruin her friendship.
I have a take on this.
Okay.
Because when I was watching the movie, I had the same question in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
One, it's super important that he's a himbo. It's incredibly important that
he's a fucking dumbass. Yeah,
he's dumb, and he's easy to be manipulated.
Yeah.
And two, I don't think that the thing is that Julia Roberts and him are like true love or whatever. I think that he's the closest person she's ever let in. And for her, letting that go is the hardest thing for her. It's not that he's worth it. It's that she hasn't let another person become that close before.
Mm-hmm.
And that security is what makes him so attractive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That like he'll always be hers, so to speak.
They have a song, and she has to give up that song in order to really let go.
I mean, this movie does have a fundamentally pretty pessimistic idea of like whether or not men and women can be friends,
which is the 90s question. That is the 90s rom-com question.
Right. And also like whether or not like, is your life over after marriage? Like, can you continue to have friends after marriage? Like, that's just
which is bleak, but it's true. I mean, I know so many like of people in my parents' generation who after, I mean, I feel like my parents both and like their friends were really interesting because I feel like a lot of them got married in their 20s and divorced in their 30s. So it was like pretty normal to just like be around adults, you know, who were not married to the you know, parents of their children. And then like having them like seeing in real time as a child, like those people find love again. It was really fascinating to just see after marriage, right? Like how all of these friendships changed and how like there is this focus on a nuclear family that supersedes friendships rather than I feel like a lot of people our generation are like, no, it's all one, you know, like
Totally.
Maybe that's a generalization.
No, but I see what you mean about that. I think it's fascinating. I don't know. I think that if this movie was made in 2025, they should just make a polycule.
Yeah,
and then all three of them.
That's really true. Yeah. I do. I remember
Rupert Everett could be a part of it too.
Yeah, one of the first times I watched this movie, I was like, I feel like Julia Roberts and Cameron Diaz should go.
No, literally, they
have like a lot of like chemistry.
They do have a lot of chemistry,
and just like also like their weird. I don't know. It is. They do have like that kind of like, do they hate each other? Do they love each other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a very queer coded movie. I think like
Definitely.
Just from the colors, from the music, from the Rupert Everett character, you know, getting a little bit too excited about pop culture stuff. I think that this is the type of movie that now would be made about queer characters, but are kind of lame and boring. But instead you want to obsess over these relationships that aren't textual, to, you know, but they're there's enough going on that you can read into it because
Yeah.
that's more fun. I don't know.
I almost wonder if it was made today, if there would be like a bisexual man marrying a woman and like his gay best friend from college, and like they have that relationship together. Because I also think it's like, it is really, I don't know, it's really fascinating to see how people change and evolve, and also this idea of like holding on to that intimacy that you form in college, which is just because you're like anxious and you're in a new space and you're probably like really horny and just like emotionally dysregulated. You form these intimate relationships with people, and then like as you become hopefully more emotionally regulated, you grow and you change. And how do you sort of change those friendships and those relationships? But also, given that like, again, like so many people, more people in our generation are queer, I do think that would be like fabulous. But also the other way, like if Julia Roberts ran it.
But don't remake this movie.
No.
Make another good rom-com.
Yeah, that's
challenge.
true.
Hollywood,
Yeah.
make another good
Yeah,
rom-com.
call up Ronald Bass.
Yeah,
Still alive. Yeah, call up Ronnie.
Call up the Ronettes.
The Ronettes.
Yeah, call up
Just
the Ronettes.
skip Ronald Bass.
Yeah, skip Ronald.
Yeah, and do something that, like, I don't know. I do feel like we do finally, like, I feel like when we recorded the podcast for the first time, we did not have a good crop of young actors, like with sexual chemistry, with the it factor. And I feel like finally now we are starting to. We're like, through shows like Euphoria, which is not very good, but sorry if anyone's a huge fan of Euphoria, but like we need shows like that like get young stars to like practice and cut their teeth on tough material.
Absolutely.
And you need to be able to figure out whether like people have that, star power of a Julia Roberts, of a Cameron Diaz. And I don't know. I feel like we could be entering into another era of rom-com supremacy. I could see like in the next 10 years there being like 4 or 5 really, really like classic rom-coms happening now that we have a new fresh batch. Now, are they going to look as good as this movie?
No, this
Probably
movie
not.
Looks incredible.
It's shot by Laszlo Kovacs, who's like one of the best cinematographers. Shot Easy Rider, 5 Easy Pieces, like those scenes that like where they like make like interesting decisions with foreground and background. Like there's scenes where the lighting is changed all of a sudden, like on the river with like going through the bridges.
Yeah.
It looks so amazing, which is a reference, Paco told me.
It was apparently a reference to some scene in the Last Picture Show,
which I didn't catch while watching it, but I was just like took my breath away.
Yeah. Or the karaoke scene, just like the way that it's shot with like a lot of it is you see the whole crowd like as they're singing or as like they're reacting to the movie. And I just feel like a movie now would be shot for phones and just like only close-ups, and you would not really interact with the crowd. And I guess like a lot of movies now feel like kind of empty outside of the characters. Yeah. Compared to this movie, which I feel you're always aware of the background. There's always something going on.
There's always something going on. And I think that kind of adds to it. What was really interesting is when he's describing the wedding, to Julia Roberts' character, he's like, yeah, it's a really traditional, 4-day affair, a huge family, huge wedding. I'm like, that's just an Indian wedding. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I'm like, apparently this is I assume Protestant, maybe Irish Catholic.
They did remake this movie in Mexico and in China.
Wow.
There's a Chinese version of this movie and a Mexican version of this movie, which I haven't watched. Okay. But sounds like I might need to check that out, because I do think like the idea of like how that would change in culture to culture, like
There's
would
a
change.
Bollywood one too.
There is a
There
Bollywood?
is? Wait, what is it called?
It's called It's My Friend's Wedding. It was partially inspired by this movie.
Wow.
Whoa.
I do have to say Bollywood, love it forever, will defend it, some parts of it. And there are a lot of rip-offs of like When Harry Met Sally, of Hollywood. But I'm also just like, I don't know, I love the Bollywood version too. It's
Hollywood is rip-offs of Hollywood too. So like so like everything is recreating, and you're just getting inspiration.
Exactly.
And like the thing about all those Bollywood remakes is that they're their own thing.
They are.
They're not like rip-offs.
No, they're not. They're not. It's not like one-to-one.
No.
It is like a very original interpretation.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised by that, but now I want to watch that. that movie.
Apparently, it's the main character is a guy and his best friend's a
So
woman.
now's the time to turn off the podcast, watch the Bollywood version,
Yeah.
and
come back
and then
then
come
yeah,
back.
yeah. Okay, so Siri and I are both journalists,
Yes.
and the two main characters also are both journalists. What did you
Yes.
think of the depiction of journalism?
I think her depiction was really interesting because I mean, this is like the time where magazines have a lot of money. You know, they still have their subscriber base. The internet hasn't like cut into that. You know, tech companies haven't like absolutely destroyed that. So I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, she's on a book tour. She's like such a highly regarded critic that in that opening scene with her, you know, he's like, if you get this wrong, I'll kill your whole family. Which is just an insane line, but also having read some journalism about, you know, famous chefs, I believe it, that, you know, they were like that then, and maybe some are still like that now. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. I mean, she's 28, right? So she has to be somewhat of like a...
She's 3 weeks from being 28.
Oh, sorry, she's 27.
Yeah.
And so I think she probably fits like an ingenue type of journalist, which like there are definitely women in journalism who have achieved a lot by 27, 28. You know, it's not everyone though. A lot of us are struggling. And so I think to me, I was like, this is true to life. The thing that is unrealistic, I'm like, that's her editor? Like, is that her book editor or her like editor, like day to day? Like, does she work at a magazine? And that's what I was like. Because if that's her book editor, maybe I could see that. But I'm like, just for that to be a professional relationship and a best friendship was a little unrealistic. But
I feel like it would make... I think it's supposed to be her magazine editor. I do agree it would make more sense as a book editor, just because I do feel like people have much more... I mean, people have friendly relationships with their
editors,
but
yeah.
like, I don't know if you'd be calling
When they're as
your
charming
editor-
as Rupert Everett.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know if you'd be calling your editor for advice on how to ruin your best friend's wedding. But
Yeah.
Yes.
maybe you would if he was Rupert Everett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dermot Mulroney, what's his name? Michael? Mm-hmm. His job. There's a really funny article in The Ringer from a few years ago, I think maybe 2020, about how his job makes absolutely no sense because
Yeah.
he seems to be a sports journalist who covers every single sport.
yeah. Yeah. No, it's like, okay, what is going on? Because it's a summer. What are the playoffs in the summer?
Oh, NBA.
NBA. Okay.
But that's in May. Oh, okay. So the movie's in May.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's the crossover of baseball and basketball.
Because they mentioned Sacramento sweeping.
Got it. Okay. So
San Antonio.
Yes.
And then they're at a baseball game, and it seems like, and his colleagues are there in the press. They're in the press
his
box.
bosses are there with the billionaire owner.
Yeah,
So
and it's called Sport Magazine.
Apparently, it's real.
Oh,
It used to exist.
wow, that's wild.
Yeah, it went defunct in 2000, so a few years after this movie came out.
Sad.
interesting.
Sad.
So his role as a journalist, like we don't see him do that. We don't see him
I mean, it's his wedding.
apply.
Though, to be fair, if a real journalist would be working on their wedding. So
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
He gets fired on his wedding.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, he doesn't get fired.
He gets
His boss is like,
not reprimanded. He gets advised not to take up his wedding by his boss.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't want to marry into this family. They're trying to ruin your career.
That's
Yeah.
the worst scene in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Where she writes the letter. It's
Yeah,
the one that
it's like-
strains credibility.
It's her most evil. It's like too evil.
Yeah, which is it follows up the scene where I believe at the least where she writes that letter. That's the most like typical like the scene when I was a kid where I'd run out. Right, is her writing that letter in a very heightened way, saying every word out loud, and then being like saved to drafts.
Yeah.
That scene is followed by one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, which is the Paul Giamatti scene in the hotel room where she is leveled so low by the fact that this thing has been set that she's acting inside. She's pounding on the door. She's begging them to let him in.
Yeah.
So she can delete that email. And it ends up getting said anyway. And he ends up reading the letter and being like, "Can you give me some privacy?" She goes out into the hallway, and who is there?
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti.
It's pretty funny.
He's so good.
He's really good. There's a part of me that I sort of feel like this goes back to my earlier question about like is Dermot Mulroney hot? Which should maybe reframed as, is Dermot Mulroney the right
kind of hot.
Yeah, is he the right kind of character? I sort of feel like the movie would maybe work better if it was like kind of a Paul Giamatti type. As the Dermot Mulroney character.
Interesting. What makes you say that?
Because I feel like
Because I do not agree with this.
because I feel like it should be sort of like, I just feel like Paul Giamatti has more charm to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see like Julia Roberts losing Paul Giamatti seems a lot more devastating. Like the fact that like Paul Giamatti doesn't want to date her feels a lot more devastating to me than like Dermot Mulroney.
I just think maybe it's because you're not attracted to men. Because okay, here's my thing is like I do think I do see the himbo part of this, and I do see the like, you know, I mean it's just like Dermot Mulroney, he flashes that smile and you're like swoon.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part of it that's like still they're all in their 20s, you know, like they're just, I think, and also something that I get from this is that like Julianne Roberts' character Julianne is like very superficial.
Yeah.
Like she loves her hot gay editor and her like hot cool job, and she loves being hot.
Yeah.
And like you can kind of see it
Her
in the
fits.
way
She loves dressing.
Yeah.
she loves dressing. She loves like the
She has
fact
that
that,
thing on.
she doesn't have to really show off her body, but people still like her. Like
She'd be such an edgelord on Twitter.
oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Insufferable.
I don't even want to go down that path. But like versus like Kimmy, who also is like very conventionally attractive, doesn't feel superficial in that way. But it might be the thing where it's like when people have something, they don't think about it. You know, like she's grown up being this beautiful, rich, you know, woman who goes to the University of Chicago. She doesn't have to think about, you know, being hot and being wealthy and like comfortable because she is those things versus like Julianne to me as a character is like someone who has like become those things and has become very attached to being all of those things. And so that's to me where that comes in with Dermot Mulroney's character is that he is someone who is like attracted, of course, to all of the things that Julianne has. Like Michael is very attracted to Julianne. It's like so clear from the way that he looks at her.
It's so inappropriate the way he acts around
The
her.
way he acts around her.
That was at some points in the movie I was like, is he the villain?
No, but
Like
here's,
he's like playing into it.
but here's
Yeah.
the thing. The movie's like,
he's stupid, but
he's stupid. But the thing is, it's Julia Roberts. It's not just like another woman.
Yeah.
It is like this version. I'm not excusing his behavior. His behavior is bad.
It's horrible.
And the
It's
way
really shitty.
the way he acts and treats Cameron Diaz is bad. But I watched this movie last night with my siblings and one of my really good friends, and we were like, is the power imbalance sort of leveled out with him and Cameron Diaz because she's so rich and her being sort of like comfortable enough to be like, go hang out with your friend. That's
Yeah.
fine. But then the shock of them kissing, I'm like, you didn't think that they were,
Yeah.
you mean you got in the taxi and left. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm not excusing it, but I'm like, the surprise and the shock and the betrayal at the end, I was like, okay.
yeah, but
All
I
right.
feel like her character's supposed to be kind of like
Naive
A little
or-
naive,
like,
yeah.
optimistic.
And sheltered.
yeah,
a little.
definitely
Yeah,
very
you're right.
sheltered.
Maybe used to like a different more.
Yeah.
Has no friends. Like she doesn't.
Yeah, well, she sucks.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
she's
she has
great.
no friends. She has no bridesmaids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or her
She-
bridesmaid like broke her.
Oh, her shattered her pelvis in Abilene line dancing over spring break.
So funny. There's so many good lines in this movie.
Oh my God, there's incredible lines. I think the best line about being a journalist that I was like, this is so true today. I work in a low-paying, zero-respect job, which I unfortunately happen to love.
Exactly.
And I was like,
Real.
ooh, too real. Too
Yeah,
real.
and probably like low pay for back then. Like that was probably a pretty nice gig.
Yeah.
like they were flying him out everywhere. 52 weeks of travel. Like
I
that's
know.
crazy.
That's insane. That's also horrible for the planet.
Yeah.
Like, just...
But that was the 90s, baby.
Yeah.
We're never going to die.
Yeah, there's some amazing. I think Rupert Everett also has like
Yeah.
So many good lines.
some fantastic lines. Like he walks into Julianne like being drunk off of all these minibar bottles, and he's like, "Death by minibar, how glamorous."
Yes, he has so many lines like that. There's just like the line at the end where she's like, "But that still makes me fungus."
Yeah.
The way she says that, I'm like, you are the biggest star in the world.
Yeah. No, literally. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's so, it leads into all of these things, right? About like how, Dermot Mulroney walks in on her in her underwear and he's like, nothing I haven't seen before. And I'm like, yeah, okay, any other woman. But Julia Roberts, and it's like, this movie really is, what I like about this movie is that it really does show like people for who they are.
Yeah.
It doesn't try to hide or like protect you from like who are these people that you're like falling in love with and that you're like frustrated with, and you might be like screaming at the movie screen being like, what the hell are you doing? Like, it shows them as they are.
So what is the Julia Roberts movie for you guys? I know it's other than this one, which Siri, it seems like this is yours.
It might be. I don't know. I also really love Notting Hill.
Notting Hill. That's a great
I
pitch.
just watched it, which is really funny.
Yeah, I just tried to rewatch it today before this because I was like, oh, let me put one on, and I was like, oh, this is nice. But I've also been. Who's the writer of Notting Hill? It's same guy who made Love Actually and
was it Richard Curtis?
Richard Curtis. Yeah. I've been sort of because I've been watching his movies for the first time this year as a little mini project, and every single one of his movies is like you've been bonked on the head and spun around, and then the characters are like, no kiss.
Yeah.
And that is that movie's the same.
Yeah.
But she's playing a movie star in that. She's playing
herself.
She's playing like the world's most glamorous, incredible.
Alec Baldwin is her boyfriend.
It's an insane movie.
As himself?
No, no, as like a unnamed other Hollywood person.
Nor is she playing herself, but it's close.
Yeah.
Enough. It's like a version of her.
Yeah,
but she's like the most famous.
Yeah,
I really love her role in Ocean's 12 as
the duel.
Yeah. Her pretending to be Julia Roberts.
Yeah, that's great.
That's a really great.
That's a great Julia. Aaron Brockovich Julia.
Oh, Aaron Brockovich Julia. I mean, yes.
You go ahead.
No, she's just incredible in that role. And also, whenever I tell people what I do, they're like, "Oh, so Aaron Brockovich."
Aaron Brockovich. You're Aaron Brockovich.
It's all like toxins and environmental justice. And
you should change your bio to Chicago's Aaron Brockovich.
Oh my God, I don't think I can take up that mantle. Maybe in a few years. Maybe if I get a.
Can I admit something? Mm-hmm. I don't like Pretty Women.
You don't like Pretty Woman?
No.
Okay, why not?
I think Julia's amazing in it. Mm-hmm. That movie's so fucking condescending.
It is very condescending.
It's incredibly like 90s liberal, like, oh, like she's a
sex worker. No. And yeah, it was really interesting / funny. I feel like I'm going to take us in a totally different direction, but I was reading this essay in Angel Food magazine. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, sure.
By a woman who's a sex worker about Honora. And
I wrote that one.
Yeah, it was a fantastic essay. I wish I could remember the name, but I'm sure if you Google it, it will
I can
come
put it
up.
in the notes.
Perfect. And I think like there is this sense of like when male filmmakers are making films about sex workers, the way that, the way that Sean Baker does and the way that other filmmakers do, there is this sense of condescension. And to me, it is so intertwined with like American puritanical culture. Yeah.
Which Julia doesn't seem to be a part of. She is very, sexually liberated and
she's outside of that
in a way. But that movie, I don't know, it just doesn't hit for me. Mm-hmm. But it's very interesting because the early part of her career is defined by her being salt of the earth.
Yes.
Like working class, Mystic Pizza Julia, which is my favorite Julia performance.
Okay.
I love that movie.
Isn't Hayden Christensen, is he in that movie?
He's not.
No, he's in the remake, the horrible Emma Roberts remake of that movie.
Oh no, I don't think it's a remake.
It's not a remake.
It's just a Little Italy.
That's fascinating.
Oh, it's just
It's the same director.
Oh, it's the same director. Okay.
Yeah, Little Italy, set in Little Italy, Toronto. Do you not know this movie?
Say more.
It's actually one of the most. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen,
it's
and also
horrible.
one of the most weirdly racist movies.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's made by Donald Petrie?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I will be watching that. Now's the time to pause the podcast. Watch Mystic Pizza. We played at the Music Box as part of like the Food and Film series. I adore that movie. Mm-hmm. I adore that performance. Mm-hmm. That's like, part of like Hollywood's weird like fascination with like specific white ethnic groups, like the Portuguese representation of that movie is really interesting. It's like a subculture that doesn't get explored very often. And I put it in line with like Crossing Delancey and Moonstruck of like these like very specific like, yeah, like we're actually going to dig in and talk about like what it is to be Portuguese in Connecticut, like what that world is. And like Julia Roberts, who's not Portuguese, but like plays in that world in like an incredibly like realistic, even though she's a movie star, like, you know, plays that she could be on a lobster boat, and that's fine. Then the second half of her career, because she got so famous, she literally just plays characters who could only be viewed as a movie star.
Yeah.
Or like
Definitely.
they changed the room. So like that first half of her being like, I guess Erin Brockovich could be put in that camp too, of like, I'm a regular person. And she's one of my favorites. She hasn't made a movie that I've liked in a very long time.
You didn't like Ticket to Paradise?
I didn't see Ticket to Paradise.
It's a movie you watch with your mom.
Well, I was waiting to watch it on one of the many flights I will be taking. But no, I don't know. I'm like for like a movie like that, I need to be recommended by like a person. Like I need someone to be like, Jeremy, like you'll really like this one.
You gotta watch Ticket to Paradise.
And not a single person recommended Ticket to Paradise to me.
Like it wasn't, I watched it. It was funny because I was waiting to watch it with my mom, and then my mom was like, "Oh, I watched it on a plane," and I was like, "Well, okay, guess I have to watch it on my own now." And it was fine. I mean, I think my problem with a lot of these movies is it reduces, like, I assume one of the most complex, interesting, you know, roles that a person can have in life is to be a parent. And I think that Hollywood's depictions of parents is like really thin, especially in like bigger budget. Like Dermot Mulroney plays the dad in Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney.
He's really good in it too.
And Glenn Powell, and he's very good.
Yeah.
He plays like a very good like depiction of a dad. But I'm often just so like, it's just so like thin, and like especially divorced parents. I'm like, I don't like this.
I think you're right. I think Hollywood in general just like paints with this broad brush. The layer is very thin. When it comes to siblings, I like never relate to like the sibling rivalry shit because like I just don't have that with my siblings.
Yeah.
And like Hollywood never shows like a version of siblings that is like, oh no, I'm cool that we have different careers or different levels of success or whatever. Like, which is the way that most people are with their siblings.
Yeah. Or
But,
like if I'm not cool, like, here's how we talk about it, or
here's
how we
deal.
don't talk about it.
There is conflict. There is, of course, there's conflict between family members, but like not all of it is done in the same exact way.
It's like so heightened.
And I feel like parents are that way too, because you know everything is written by 4 writers who have the same issues, same neuroses.
Yeah.
She was in that really horrible movie Leave the World Behind, produced by the Obamas.
Wait, that's so funny that you're like, it's so horrible, because multiple people were like, you should watch this, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna watch this.
No, it's really bad. I read the book, which is fine.
Okay.
A few years ago, but the movie is not good. I honestly forgot that she was in it until I just was looking at the later half of her career. She's not done that many movies.
But she's still good in it.
She's in that movie.
Yeah.
I literally forgot she was in it.
I think every actor is good in it.
Because it's her and like Mahershala
Mahershala Ali.
Ali.
He's really good. Ethan Hawke.
It's that movie doesn't know when to like stop. Like it's just like the camera moves are too much.
It's like 3
everything is
hours
too
long.
produced.
Yeah.
It's the story is completely uninteresting.
Okay.
And like it thinks it's so interesting, which is the worst part, where it's like this mystery, but the answer is like not that interesting. But I think that she has another like great performance
I agree.
that she hasn't given yet.
I'm kind of wondering if there is a, you know, speaking of the young ingenue and the slightly older actress narrative, I wonder if she has like the substance in her. Like I feel like she has, not that movie exactly, but like
Something where she's at the front, like
Yeah.
maybe a genre movie.
Yeah, she's the star, and there is like a certain interiority, because I do think that of all of her roles, like we don't get a lot of interiority from her characters. She is very good at portraying like certain complex emotions, but I think that, you know, I'm wondering if she, you know, if we can see that from her.
Yeah.
Because I want that.
I want that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the last scene real quick, or I'm sorry, not the last scene, the confrontation scene in the bathroom of
Yes.
Comiskey of New Comiskey.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, where the after like the chase, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Cameron Diaz catches them kissing.
Mm-hmm.
Julia Roberts and Mulroney kissing, and she runs away from the wedding, which leads to this chase scene that ends at Union Station, which is great. They realize that she's gone to the White Sox Stadium. She's gone to Comiskey, right?
Julia. So they split up, and Julia Roberts is the only one who thinks to call to the house.
Yeah.
And someone, one of her vengeful slut cousins is like, some guy like prank called the house and was like, she's at Comiskey, and I was like, there's no way. And so she's like, oh shit, that's where she is. And makes sense. If your dad owns it, you probably grew up going there, and it's probably your safe space. So I personally relate to that.
And they
How did you find the bathroom?
I mean, that's crazy. There are bathrooms. I mean,
There's like 5 bathrooms per floor. Like,
well, but I think when I'm thinking about the concourse, it's like the concourse goes all the way around, but it's just the one. Like if you're seated up top, you have to go down, and if you're seated up bottom, you have to go up. So it is crazy because it's like the concourse is so large. But
but there's like 3 or 4 options instead of like 20 options.
Yeah, and also what's interesting about that scene is like, before they're in like one of the boxes, I assume it's a press box. It could also be like the owner's box or whatever. But that bathroom is just like a regular bathroom. It's like, it's got stalls and it's got other people, speaking about other people.
So that scene, they storm into the bathroom. Cameron Diaz locks herself into the bathroom, and this gaggle, this audience forms to hear the drama of their story. Yeah. They become like the audience surrogate. Because
it's so juicy, because Julia Roberts comes in and she's yelling, Kimmy, Kimmy, and like, Cameron Diaz, she says something like, I don't want to talk to you, whatever. And then they get into it in this like big confrontation. And I love the way that scene is shot.
Yes.
It's beautifully shot because there's all these women, and what I like about it is I'm like, these women look like regular women who would go to a White Sox game. Like, I think the extras were cast really well.
There's like 1 or 2 like key like figures who they keep cutting back to, and I'm like, that's a White Sox fan.
Yeah.
that's a Southsider right there.
Yeah. And so, but I like how they're they've shot them like on opposing sides. They're facing each other, and then in the background there's all these women kind of forming a semicircle around them in the bathroom. And it's so cathartic. I mean, I think for like, weirdly enough, I think about this episode of New Girl because I'm obsessed with New Girl, where the 2 main characters have been best friends for 15 years and they've never fought, and they fight, and it's like they're going at it.
Yeah, like we're gonna get it all out on the table now.
Exactly. And so I think that why it reminds me of this scene is like, this is a tension that has been boiling over, or that has been like simmering in the background the entire movie, and now finally we're seeing it boiling over, and we're seeing Kimmy get angry. And I think that I like it because it goes against type for her character. But I also like it because it's like, Julia Roberts, like, defend your actions. Like, you've been total shit this whole movie. Like, you should be forced to confront the person that you were really hurting.
And this is a scene of many where Cameron Diaz like reveals more layers to herself. Where like the simple portrayal of her, like if they would have just cast like a random person who had never acted before, who's incredibly bright and attractive, but doesn't have the same like depth as a Cameron Diaz, like I think like scenes like this would fall flat. And I do think like her being like, I do want to go back to school. Like me, like dropping out of school for this man was something that I was convinced of because he's so charming and cute and I want to squeeze his cheeks and he's Dermot Mulroney. But I am my own person.
Yeah.
I do have a life. I do want you to work for my dad. Why is that crazy? I do want to fight for my man. Like, I do want to like, I don't want to give up. I don't want to give in. I don't want to be the villain of this story because you're the villain. So defend yourself. And that's when Julia Roberts is like, you're right. I fought and I lost. Now what? Let me make this right. And the entire audience starts to applaud.
Yeah. Apparently, the first time, like when they originally finished the movie, the endings were different. So Cameron Diaz, like that scene was way shortened, and Cameron Diaz like immediately forgave her. And apparently that just turned the audience on the movie because Julia Roberts was like such a horrible character.
Yeah.
Like the fact that Cameron Diaz didn't fight back, everyone just like gave it negative ratings
Yeah.
right after the ending.
You have to be like, you have to acknowledge.
Yeah, definitely. And it's nice that Julia Roberts doesn't really get anything at the end. I guess like she sort of learns the lesson, but like not really.
She gets to dance with Rupert Everett.
Yeah,
Who we haven't really talked about yet.
We
He's
haven't.
so good in this movie.
He's incredible. He's so charming and so witty and so sexy that you're
Yeah.
like, damn. It's kind of flooring, like how, I mean, he gets an entire crowd of like a very, whatever, presumably straight family to sing in a restaurant.
At Barry and the Cudas.
Yeah.
That's the name of the bar.
It's so, he's so charming. And I think it's so interesting because he plays like a secondary character, but he is almost like a part of, the main three, in that he is like the voice of reason, and
Yeah.
he's, doing a lot with not much screen time.
No, apparently he was gonna have less even. And
Yeah.
and Uber, it was one of those situations where Rupert Everett was just so charming. They were
He was
like, all right,
popping.
yeah, like we got to
Write him in.
a bunch of more shit.
Like his role in the movie is to be like, look, I will help you get your man, but I'm going to help you get him straight in a straightforward way. You're going to tell him what's going on.
Yeah.
And the second she starts to lie and commit to this like subterfuge and deception, he's like, no, I'm going to make fun of you. I'm going to drag you and
Yeah.
I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
And then when she calls him, he's like, okay, listen, like your role is to be the best friend.
Yeah.
Like you have to commit to being the friend and you have to give it up.
Yeah.
And look, this is just a part of your life. Your late 20s are going to suck.
Yeah. That's what he says.
that's the idea I'm getting of just
Yeah.
being like, you have to like, just like, you have to give up. You have to like give that up. Not give up, but like give that up.
He's
Yeah.
telling her to grow up.
Yeah,
Grow
essentially.
up.
Yeah.
And like I think that she needs to hear it because like I guess like I don't know. Do you guys think she actually loves him, or do you think it's more just like she had this like backup plan, and like the fact that she has lost is the thing that she's after?
Both. I think she's avoidant, right, to use the terminology. I think she like has somewhat of like an avoidant attachment style. And so because it's all thrown into chaos once he says I'm getting married. Before she doesn't express anything that's like, I should call him and see if this is the thing that he's thinking about. It's like, okay, no, I'll figure, whatever. I'll figure out what it is, but it can't be that. Like, she's like, there's no way, that he's thinking about our pact that we made when we were 20 years old or 22 or whatever. I can't remember the exact chronology. But I think part of it for me is that she discovers that she has only been, like you said, emotionally intimate with this one man.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't want to lose this friendship with this man where she can be herself. And she discovers that it's love, but I don't even think she knows what type of love it is.
Yeah.
I think she assumes that because he's a man and she's a woman, that like to be in, any type of relation to him, she must have him. They must have each other as a cis het couple. But I think that like that love is just like very complicated and it's not easily decipherable. And I think both of them are like emotionally idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Him especially.
Him especially.
You can't act like that on your wedding weekend.
No, you definitely can.
So speaking of this movie as being a baseball movie and a movie about the villain, I had a thought, and I want to run it by you guys. When I was watching this movie, because I've been steeping myself in baseball movies, because I'm preparing for this baseball series at the Music Box, where we're doing baseball movies all throughout the month of March to lead up to the release of this new movie called EFIS. That's going to be amazing. But I've been watching a baseball movie basically every night.
Okay.
And I watched another movie very close to this that I realized is kind of about who is normally the villain of a baseball movie. The villain of a baseball movie is usually the money person who's pinching pennies, who's telling the coach what to do, who's telling you that you don't have the budget and that I'm gonna replace your players. And that movie's Moneyball.
I knew it was going to be Moneyball. As soon as you said it's about money, I'm like, well, I'm sure it's Moneyball.
I was kind of giggling and kicking my feet thinking about the idea that these are two movies that are from the perspective of who is normally the villain, but instead we're going to cast the most charming movie star so that you are convinced of this person's power. And you know, the other movie that I was thinking of as a comp was Wicked, to be honest, because it's these are movies from like let's have an in from like what are the genre constructions of this, of rom-com, right? We all understand the rules of a baseball movie.
Yeah.
We all understand the rules of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
But let's have an in from a character who's usually painted as the villain and just watch the movie from their perspective. Yeah. And I was sort of locking into this idea of like, what are some other movies that allow you that perspective? And those are the ones I came up with.
Interesting. Did this movie make you think of other movies, Paco?
I guess like Muriel's Wedding, just because I just watched it.
Yeah, I think Muriel's Wedding for me, the influence is so clear. Also, The Family Stone.
The Family Stone.
Dermot Mulroney also gets a ring caught on a finger of a person that he's not gonna propose to or marry.
That's true.
But in this case, it's her sister. So he's really on one.
He's messy.
Movies.
He's really good in Scream.
The
Scream 6.
Yeah, he's pretty good in that.
Did you see that?
I've not. I'm unfortunately like horror franchises. I'm such a novice. Like,
have you seen Child's Play?
No, I haven't, but I did listen to the podcast episode. I've never seen any of the Chucky movies. I've never seen any of the Final Destination movies. Never seen any of the Scream movies. My friend is hoping to remedy that, the Final Destination.
Before the new one comes out.
Definitely
before
watch
the new one
them.
comes out. So
they should do one in Chicago. They should do a Final Destination in Chicago.
I feel like you could. I feel like they should also do one in New York, mostly because every time I've visited or when I lived there, I like was afraid of falling into those traps.
Well, that was the last take of the Scream movie. It was like, what if
Screamface was in New York?
Yeah, Ghostface was in a bodega.
Screamface.
Yeah. What if Ghostface was in a bodega? Like that is like the take. Yeah. It kind of works.
What if Ghostface was at the Bean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's too crazy. That's too twisted.
I think if they did like a horror movie about Chicago, it should be about an architect because, because like Chicago's
the Lake House.
It's called the
I got there first. It's called.
Is he the bad guy in that movie?
It's called Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah.
Isn't he an architect? I think he's a Chicago architect in the beginning of the movie.
Yes, he is. Yes. He is because there's that shot.
And she's having a mental breakdown.
Yeah, there's that shot of him.
Outside Wrigley?
No, yes, but from one of the like downtown towers
buildings.
that's like off the river.
Yeah.
It's called the Lake House. Jesus Christ.
Is there anything else that we want to say about this movie? This movie got nominated for Best Comedy Score. They used to split the Oscar category for Best Score into drama and comedy.
Really, like Golden Globe style?
Like Golden Globes
style, yeah.
But for scores. And so this movie got nominated up against Men in Black, my favorite.
That's really
one of my favorite scores of all time.
I really I can't think of the score at all.
It's pretty good. I watched it last night, reading that in the Wikipedia page that it was nominated, and I was like, "This is a good score."
I do miss scores in rom-coms. I miss like
a big sweeping
instrumentals. Yeah, I'm like it builds the scene. It makes you envelops you into the world. I think 27 Dresses has a really good score, but I'm also just kind of obsessed with that movie.
Yeah, as a rom-com expert,
self-proclaimed.
Do you have some recs?
Some recs, some Chicago specific recs, or just recs in general?
Just recs. Like, what are some other ones that speak to you?
I mean, contemporary. I love Rye Lane. I love Rye Lane because Rye Lane feels like a rom-com about a city and like a community that's actually seems, I mean, I don't know London and I'm not a part of the British Caribbean diaspora, but like it seems very grounded in things that like regular people do and like ways in which people relate to each other and like sometimes fall in love. But it's also got its like cool, weird, wacky moments. Yeah, I love that's a great contemporary example. I think My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
Also Chicago.
Chicago.
Gotta love, Greek Greek town. And I don't. Well, what else? I'm trying to think. Oh, queer rom dram. This is like I'm stretching. I'm really stretching. Saving Face, which is an amazing film that my friend introduced me recently. I hadn't heard about it, but it's about a woman who is lives in Flushing in like the Chinese diaspora, and is attempting to sort of live her life as a lesbian and become a doctor and sort of like fulfill a lot of these familial obligations, but also live in this insular immigrant community and like be okay with how things are happening. And it's very moving, but that's definitely more rom-dram than rom-com.
No, these are great recs. I think now's the time to pause the podcast.
Watch all of those movies.
Yeah, so you can understand
Just going back to the journalism thing real quick. He mentions that he does a profile of
The
Frank
Big
Thomas,
Hurt.
The Big Hurt.
Yeah.
It's such a funny line.
It's such a great line.
Who says Big Hurt?
Frank Thomas.
Yeah.
He explains that, which I love. That was great. I love her little review of at the very beginning.
So I'm like, I've never read a restaurant review that uses any of those words.
She goes, inventive and confident.
And they're like, yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's just, I want to see her, review The Bear.
Yeah, they should do a little crossover.
Julia Roberts would be on The Bear.
Yeah, that
she'd be like one of Carmi's aunts.
Yeah, just screaming, yelling.
Something that Ringer article brought up is the fact that this movie is taking place in the 90s and they don't mention the Bulls.
Yeah,
important to me. I think they were told no. I think they were told that was too expensive.
Yeah,
what you can afford is the White Sox. That's what you can afford.
What you can afford is the White Sox. Take what you can get.
Exactly.
And don't complain about it.
Yeah. What's your prediction for this season for the White Sox?
Bad. I'm not.
It's like that image of SpongeBob in the dark hole.
I mean, I wish it was better. I went to a few games last season and I was just like,
vibes are off.
The vibes are off.
Yeah, everyone's pissed.
The vibes are off. I think, I don't know.
We care too much.
Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah, he's got to
sell the team.
Yeah. Or
we'll buy it. How much could it cost?
4 stars brought to you by the 4 stars.
Well,
field.
the Sox. Yeah. Sox brought to you by the 4 stars.
I think they should make the Chicago White Sox a co-op like the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
It should be publicly owned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most sports should.
Yeah.
They did just pass a law, introduced a law. That's not very, very different.
Yes.
That public funding would be judged on team performance.
That's really funny.
So like over 5 years, you have to be over 500 to get public funding.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's really funny.
I don't think it'll pass, but it's an interesting idea.
Yeah. It definitely is. I mean, people are invested in these places. They mean a lot, but
yeah, no, just even seeing New Comiskey, seeing like the blue seats and stuff, it brought back such a feeling of nostalgia and comfort and care.
Yeah,
and I care so deeply about the White Sox. They don't care deeply about me or you.
No, they don't.
but we love the White Sox.
I love the White Sox so much. Yeah. And another journalism thing is that the Chicago Tribune had like a huge ad and when they were panning throughout the stadium, and I was like, damn, that was back when the Tribune had money. Presumably.
Yeah,
they owned the Cubs at that point.
They did?
The Tribune owned the Cubs for a period of time before the Ricketts.
No way.
Like in between, I was just looking this up because I was like, it should have been the Cubs owner or whatever nonsense I was bringing up before.
Yeah.
I looked up who the owner was, and it was like the Tribune Group, and I was like, that's
freaking way.
crazy. So they had a stake in the White Sox and the Cubs, it seems.
Yeah.
They had that big ad at the White Sox.
Damn.
Yeah.
Till 09.
Till 09.
Till 09?
Yeah, like for like the entire Aramis Ramirez, Derek Lee era, Mark Pryor,
Sammy
Kerry Wood
Sosa.
era. I don't know that guy.
Do you want to give our final thoughts?
Being 27 is hard. Grow up.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that this is such a rewatchable movie. This needs to be considered up there with not just rom-coms, not just Chicago movies, but like meta postmodernist movies that are like talking about the genres in which they're
Yeah, definitely. I see what you mean.
deconstructing. It should be on the level of some of these other ones, especially because it's successful as a satire or not satire, but as a deconstruction. It's successful as a deconstruction and as a rom-com. Like it just works as a movie, and it's about hot people being hot.
Yeah.
And you got to support that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it on rewatch. I think I appreciated it more, and I was less picky about the Chicago stuff. Something crazy that I just remembered that I wanted to bring up to both of you. A friend of mine texted a group chat that I'm in a few weeks ago and was like, "Can you guys recommend me a movie, like a rom-com to watch with me and my like cousins?" And I said My Best Friend's Wedding, and she was like, "My sister says it's too old."
What?
Yeah, I was just like, I was so shocked.
What do they want?
I don't know. Like, I just kept thinking about, like, what is the cutoff date for an old movie?
2008.
Maybe 2000. I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. I feel like when I'm talking about movies and I'm like, oh, it's a really old movie, I'm thinking like 1940s, 50s,
Yeah.
60s.
I would say I feel like my cutoff, like my...
New
like,
Hollywood.
Yeah. My time of like, oh, when is like a movie like... I have to like kind of get into the mindset of an older movie. I feel like it's pre-70s.
But that just, I mean, I know we're movie people, but like that makes me so excited because I'm like, oh, craft. Like these movies are going to be well made. They're going to move quickly.
Yeah.
They're going to be in and out. And
Or any film that's
90
like
minutes.
shot on Technicolor. I'm like, it literally
gonna look
just
amazing.
looks better. Like
Yeah.
it just looks better.
This is a movie that was shot on film, you know,
Yeah.
like it so clearly looks so good.
Yeah, like
So get into that.
Saving Face. I was like, I love the look of this movie. Why do
Mm-hmm.
I love it? And I think it was shot on 35 millimeter, but you can tell like the texture of the film still holds up even if you're not watching it projected,
Right.
in a movie theater. Yeah, I have like a whole huge rant locked and loaded that I will not go on about our like refusal to engage with media that isn't contemporary and how that like harms our ability to see the fact that like we're literally cyclically living through like just various periods of time that like kind of just repeat. Like everything politically that's happening in our world, it's not the first time that it's happened, and everybody who acts like it is just doesn't have any idea of what history has wrought.
We'll have you back on for an older movie and you can do that rant.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I feel like that's actually like the fact that what you were talking about at the beginning about like the White Sox and how like the same management things keep happening over and over again. History
White
just
flag.
repeats itself. Yeah,
We just raise our white flag. We give up. We surrender.
time is a flat circle. Yeah, I guess overall, what do you think about this movie's Chicago representativeness?
I would say this is very good Chicago rep. I think it's good on the surface as a like a surface level view of the glitz and glam that Chicago does have.
Yeah.
But it does go to the locations. It shoots the hell out of them. It looks great. And I think it's like great representation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that this was before the age that they were like shooting in other places and calling it Chicago.
Definitely.
And that's what I really love about this movie is it is like a capital S setting, and
Yes.
that like the characters engage with the setting in a way that doesn't feel forced. It was hilarious when he was like, I proposed at Union Station. I thought about that anecdote where Pete Buttigieg is like, I proposed to Chase Chasten in O'Hare.
Wait, is that real?
That's what he
Yeah,
says.
that's really funny.
I don't
the
know.
Cinnabon? Like, what are you doing?
I'm just like, okay. I mean, like, Union Station is like an underrated like
Yes.
place
Yeah.
to film, and also just like an underrated train station.
Yeah, and it's used so well in movies, like The Untouchables and others.
Yeah.
What would you say, Paco?
Yeah, I thought, like I mentioned earlier, like I think this time around, I was more appreciative of the movie's use of Chicago and sort of, the fact that it's from kind of like it's both from the lens of like a rich family and this is how they would experience Chicago, and also like tourists.
Yeah.
I am kind of curious. There were a lot of movies in Chicago at this time, and I am kind of curious if Jr. had some kind of like
Say.
yeah, like
That's exactly what I was thinking too, because we talked a while ago about the filming ban, which I'm sure
in the 70s. Yeah.
in the 70s, and sort of came back and was the Blues Brothers was like the first one that was after the filming ban.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about these as we do movies set in and around these years. I think we must talk about the different laws, the different tax incentives, because we love talking.
We'll go
tax
right into the tax code.
There you go.
No, but we like talking about like the ways in which there's these weird eras to Chicago films, in the same way that there's it reflects the weirdness of different administrations, the people's ideas of the city. The reason why we're doing this podcast is because we think that this city is fascinating, and its industries are fascinating, and the film industry is just one of the many industries that is a part of this. And it's an industry that is mostly LA and New York based. So the view of the city changes constantly.
Yeah, it's always, a lot of times it's an outsider's view of the city.
But they don't always have to say, because the people working on this shit are Chicagoans.
Yeah.
So out of 4 stars, what would you give this movie?
4 stars.
4 stars.
Yeah, I think I would give it 4 stars, like
the
Chicago.
flag.
Yeah, like the Chicago flag. All right. Thank you for joining us, Siri.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to plug?
I don't have anything to plug at the moment.
Your resume.
I guess just if you see a struggling journalist, please support them. I know the Chicago Reader is on like a huge fundraising kick right now, and I've written for them a few times, so definitely donate to them. Donate to Southside Weekly. Donate to all your local nonprofit Chicago organizations, because I've probably written for them at one point or another, and because my friends run them, and I want them all to be employed. So. And
you have a feature coming out in Sport.
And Sport magazine, yeah. No, it's actually Horse and Hound magazine.
Horse and Hound. Notting Hill.
Yeah, it's a Notting Hill reference.
Yeah, that was good.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to 4 Stars, a Chicago film podcast. If you have any hate mail, corrections, complaints, compliments, suggestions, you can email us at chicagopodfilmcast@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram at chicagopodfilm, on X, somewhere, Blue Sky.
What platforms is this going to be on?
Spotify, Apple, all of them.
Nice.
So, rate and review and subscribe, and maybe send us money. I don't know.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, I guess tell your friends.
Tell your friends, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.